Hey, it's Corey with Freedom Investing Group, and today I'm going to talk about a little accounting trick to make sure that when you are running your properties, you are always prepared for those big but infrequent expenses that can sometimes jump up and surprise you, but really they shouldn't be that much of a surprise. Oh my gosh, property tax bill's due. Well, it's due every year, right? Oh my gosh, this big CapEx thing happened. Well, occasionally those things are going to happen, and you know that they are from time to time going to happen, even if you don't know exactly when. So what we really want to be doing for those is setting aside some money every month, a little bit of money out of the cash flow, so that when those big expenses come, you've got a stack of cash and you can deal with it. You don't have to sweat it. There's nothing like, no big deal. We got the money. We knew it was going to happen. We got it. Versus when it shows up and you have to scramble and you had maybe distributed a bunch of money and you got to put it all back. Super stressful. Why do that? Set it aside. So how do you actually do that? How do you actually figure out how much money to set aside, and how do you track it? You have to have a lot of people will say, put a bunch of, open up a separate bank account for your property taxes and a separate one for CapEx set aside and a separate one for anything you want to set aside for. And then you've got to transfer the money all over the place. Nightmare. Don't do it. Don't do it. There's a much simpler way. All you have to do, I'm going to show you. All you have to do is set up in your accounting software. So we use Rent Manager. So we have a GL account for each of our bank accounts. What I did, I set up sub GL accounts for everything I want to set aside money for, and then I can create an automatic journal where it automatically just moves the money over there, so that we know how much we have set aside and we know how much we actually have to work with. And I'll show you real fast what that looks like. I'm going to share my screen. Share my screen, your entire screen. Here we go. And so here we go. So here is a little piece of one of our balance sheets for one of our mobile home parks in the asset section. If you do much bookkeeping, in the asset section is where your banks, because your cash is an asset. And so you have a GL account right here. This is just our accounting software where we're tracking where the money is. 1003. This is our operating account. And we wanted to set aside money we want to set aside for property tax that we know we have to pay all the time, capital expenses, big expenses that are infrequent, and a reserve account, just kind of an extra, oh shoot, just in case something big pops up. And so how do we do that? Well, we just make these things. These are sub GL accounts. So then we just make a journal that automatically moves it every month. So what we did is we figured out, you take your property tax yearly and divide by 12, and that's how much you move every month into your property tax set aside. And then when it comes time to pay your property taxes, and you're logging it, you just pay it out of this instead of your normal operating account, which is contributing monthly. And then the same thing for CapEx, capital expenses. We have an amount. We took all the different things. We have roads that we know last a certain amount of time, water pipes, sewer pipes, all the different things you have, and you can Google how long these things last, and you can make an estimate of how old they are, and you can call around to some contractors and figure out how much they should cost or be replaced. You should have done all this during due diligence anyway. And you can figure out how much you should be setting aside on average. And so then you can set that money aside so that when these big expenses come up, you're prepared, and you're not caught with your pants down. Yeah, that's really all there is to it. So what we've got here, I guess the example of why this is important is, you can see in this bank account here, we've got $149,000 in the bank account. So you might think that sounds like a lot of cash. We should just distribute a bunch of that, or go buy a Ferris wheel for the parking lot, or for the community. I don't know. But really, when you break it down, we need to set aside for property taxes. We need to keep a reserve in case of some big, oh shoot, so that we don't have to shut the park down. If something breaks, we can actually fix it, right? And we need to be setting aside for capital expenses. And so when it really comes down to it, what's left over in just the regular 1003, which they call other here, is our actual operating account, which is less than a third of what's actually in the bank. And so when you look at it this way, you realize, oh, I really shouldn't go do some massive distribution right now, because we actually need this other money. So then what we do is we set up a minimum. You set up a minimum threshold for your operating account, and over the course of a quarter, that balance goes up as you cash flow, and then some of that you automatically get moved over to these other buckets, and then when you're left, you can just distribute down to whatever your minimum is. makes it super easy. It's automated, and then you never have to worry about, oh shoot, the property taxes are due again. Hope that helped. Have a great day. Cheers.